Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Facebook live stream, Coffee Conversations with Inspiring Artists series. My name is Simona Smirnova. I started this series on May 30th as my response to the pandemic because I felt like we all felt like we're missing this connection with friends and we cannot go visit each other or rehearse or play, have performances or travel. And then I came up with this idea that it would be nice if those coffee conversations, by the way, if you have coffee, Eleni, do you have coffee?
I didn't have time to make it, but I have water.
Okay, well, that's great. So cheers, good morning.
This is some
Well, it's
Greek
not morning
water.
in Greece anymore.
Yeah.
This was kind of like an idea to make this very informal way of reconnecting with friends and colleagues and other artists who I think other people would really learn something from these conversations or get inspired or be intrigued or things like that. And
Totally.
I've conducted these, well, I wouldn't call them interviews. It's more like conversations because
Yeah.
the featured artists also, they are free to ask me something as well. And so I talked to a lot of people. So far, most of them were from Berklee. I had Aya, who was violin player, not from Berklee, but
Oh,
there's
nice.
many more to come. And since September is the month of peace and September 21st is the International Day of Peace, and I decided, actually, kind of decided to along with with this beautiful initiative, Songs for World Peace. So I'm dedicating the whole month of September for this project, Songs for World Peace. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, please go on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram and check it out. Songs for as number 4 World Peace, and see this beautiful project. And just briefly about the project, it's this initiative which started from Yoshi, Utako, and Natalia, and it brings so many artists, I think over 50 or around 60 artists around the world composing original songs in the native language about the world peace. And I thought it's just, this idea is so fascinating. And I'm also one of the artists representing Lithuania.
Nice.
So the whole month of September, I'll have artists from the project. And I'm so excited to have Eleni. I haven't seen her since Berklee times. And she's a beautiful singer and dancer and improviser and educator. Originally from Greece, Athens, but based in Brooklyn and currently in Athens. Is that right?
Yeah, in Athens now. Yeah.
So, Eleni, would you just introduce a little bit yourself? Tell about, like, very briefly, what is your discipline, maybe current project, and what's going on now in your life?
Oh, that could
Well,
take
that's a deep question. I mean, like, just more like a bio. Like, we'll
Of
get
course.
deeper into other questions, but just like briefly, so people who don't know you, maybe they would get idea
Of what?
who are they listening to.
Yeah. Hi, everyone, and hi, Simona. Thank you for having me.
Oh.
I also have been knowing, I've been discovering about the Songs for World Peace project. And it's super interesting and a great excuse to get together in some virtual way with a lot of other Berklee friends. So that's really great. It seems like a lot of the invited composers are from our years at Berklee, so that's been really heartwarming to see. I have been based in New York for about 5 years, after 7 years or 6 in Boston, so it's 10 and years in the US. So it feels good to be in Greece for a little more than a week or two that I usually come back for. But it's also, just a trying time for all of us in terms of career and our work and our teachings. Even though it's all transferable online, it's changing a lot. So we have to be. I'm in this phase of adapting and being a little imaginative about how I can shift my gears with all of the things I would usually do, in person. So patience is a big word. I'm seeing a lot of family, so that's really great. And in terms of, art right now, I'm just focusing on writing because I haven't had enough time to just focus on my album. I do now, and it's going to be my first one on my own, coming from me in terms of music, songwriting, and a lot of collaborations. But and that's interesting because I was going to do it with more people in the US, but now that I'm in Greece, some exchange online, through emailing tracks and with all the software, it's possible to write with people across the sea, but maybe it's going to be a collage of musicians from Greece and the US, and friends in Spain, or I don't know. So I'm going day by day, and I'm focusing on writing a lot. So
Well,
that's
that's what.
focus.
Thank you. That's what I feel like. COVID time was good to all of us in
Yeah.
that sense because we get a chance to tackle some like technical parts. When I talk to my
Mm-hmm.
friends, I feel like a lot of people get to, those etudes or hanons or whatever that is, which is, like when you're sweeping the floor and you never open that sofa and clean
Yeah.
under. So I feel like with practice, sometimes we don't tackle certain things and,
Yeah.
that it's there,
Yeah.
but you don't really have time.
And
So
it's even the most important thing you need to do. It's like not even just a side thing, but yet you're just not doing it. And yeah, it's also that I've been really lucky to just play for other people sometimes, or just be invited to do a couple of different things every month or so with other projects. So I love to sing people's music. So that's always been a great way to excuse not doing my own thing. So it's good. It's good.
So maybe within our conversation, we can talk a little bit more about your album and what are you writing. And but before that, also, by the way, for people who are listening, if you guys have questions or comments or anything you want to say to Eleni or to me or to Songs for World Peace people, please pop in a comment in the live feed. And for those who don't have a chance to listen to us live, the video will be there in internet area on Facebook and on YouTube later, probably
Amazing.
like in an hour after this. So, Eleni, well, I talked to a lot of my friends. I feel like I don't know you that well in terms of your, like I've met you, I've heard you in Berklee. You always have this beautiful presence around you, which kind of captured me right away when I saw you performing in one of those Berklee recitals. And you've been very active at Berklee, so I had quite a lot of chances to hear you. But what what I loved is just like this very beautiful aura around you, and you probably you heard that from other people a lot as well. Like you create this warm space for yourself and for other people, and I think it's very big gift because it's something what you can't really learn in college. It's something what
Thank you.
a heart is making. So this is really, I'm so happy that you agreed to do this conversation because I also feel like we get acquainted a little bit and become closer friends and
Yeah, yeah,
colleagues.
yeah.
So that's very nice.
Definitely. Yeah. It's great
So
to talk. Yeah.
yeah, could you tell me and other people who are listening a little bit about yourself in terms of childhood? Were you born in Athens, and did you start with dance and then music, or it always kind of went back to back simultaneously?
So
And yeah.
yeah, I was born in London, where
Oh.
my parents were actually working for 15 years, and they had all of four of us. And then I was three, so we all decided it would be better if we were. They took us all to Greece, and we were in Athens until I was 18. And in high school, I did a lot of dance, and I was an athlete. I was doing a lot of swimming, and especially like track and field and volleyball. It was all sports, and then I knew I always wanted to do more art, and I was singing every time I heard a song. I would just imitate the lyrics or imitate every line. I'd improvise without even knowing what improvisation was musically. My mother's car before she'd come back from the bank or something. It was just the perfect place to practice was in the car. No one could hear. And then in college, I just managed to shift all that time and energy in exploring more artistic things. And I think it wasn't a loss of time that I didn't do anything musically earlier. I mean, it was still high school, but I was thinking about this yesterday, that you know, being an athlete and especially in a team setting, it practices so many things you need to know, I think, or it's good to know if you're in a band or if you're in a setting on stage and you're working with other people that you don't even know. Sometimes for us, you know, in jazz that happens a lot. So, you know, feeling that kind of a team spirit and that unconditional support, like I'll get you, I'll make your wrong note right, you know, all of these things. So from sports to music, it was something I didn't really think about until now. And then, but first kind of more in dance. On my own first undergrad, well, I went to a college in London because I wasn't exactly sure, ready to say, I'll do performing arts. It was too big for me to say. So I said, let me do art history, which my mother does. And I went to London.
History?
Art history and archaeology in London at SOAS, which is like, it's called School of Oriental and African Studies. So I did art and archaeology of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East only. And it was incredible material, but I was longing for more practice, like doing things with my own voice, my own body, not just reading. And I just applied to the US and I got into Tufts University, where I did more art history, and I ended up in theater. So it took the last minute call and I shifted into drama and dance. So I did choreography, I did some set design. We had to do all sorts of sides of theater.
Oh, wow. That's really, really cool. Very wide and diverse kind of.
I loved it. In a way, it didn't give you like this expertise of like, I don't know, European universities kind of force you to say, I'm going to do psychology and that's it for 3 years. You might cross-register a class or two, but it's just that. Whereas in the US, it's so open. We even had to do other classes, astronomy and math and all of. But within the theater department, I had to do stage crew to know how the work happens, what all the miracle that comes out on stage. You know, there's all the magic in the back that no one knows about. So we had to do all these things backstage, and I love directing. I ended up doing a focus on more of that, and in theater without much text. So that was more of a movement theater, dance, and then Berklee was around the corner. And I did a semester, and I
literally around the corner.
And I just loved the people there so much. I wasn't even that good of a student that summer because I felt so in love with all the students and all the countries they came from and all the music they all played that I could not focus. And it was a summer semester, but it was all worth it. The moment I got in the next year for a full semester and then keep going, I got serious. But it was just a life-changing experience to go there, meeting all these musicians, and that was it for me. Then I just ended up really focusing on music for a while. And in New York, slowly.
What major did you do at Berklee?
Vocal performance. Uh-huh. It's kind of a vague title, I think. Jazz performance, vocal performance. I don't remember the exact. But we did world music. I sang music from the Balkans, as you might remember. With Christian Karam, we did music with Annette Philippe, the Indian ensemble. So I was really curious about sounds of different cultures. We also did with Simon Shaheen a lot of Middle Eastern music, and all the different scales, and then a lot of jazz. So a lot of my private teachers were focusing on more jazz repertoire and soul. And that was great about Berklee, honestly. There were really a lot of different teachers you could get to that could give you a different approach. Think, it's just a pop school or it's just a jazz school. It had everything.
Absolutely. It's a very diverse school, which gives you this little cushion to find what you want, or even if you don't want to focus just on one, you can explore a lot of things. So it's definitely very nice, and all these ensembles.
Or you can get lost too.
Or you can get lost. That's
what happened to me actually a little bit, to be honest. And then after leaving, I just had to shed all of that, kind of unlearn or just make some space for what you. But it's good. You try it all. It's good.
Eleni, when you a little bit out of the topic. When you're using the headphones, there's a lot of extra noise.
Oh, really?
Touching, yes. So maybe
I don't know. Take them off. Or wait, let me see. What if I don't move? Let me see. I'll just try to be more. Is this better? Because
I
there was
wonder
something underneath.
what brings that noise. Either
Can you
hair or
hear it now?
yeah.
It's still happening?
No.
Okay, great. We're good.
Okay. Well, I want you to feel
No, no, no.
free.
I think there was a thing that was grabbing it behind underneath. So
Okay.
tell me if it's happening again. If not, I'll take them off.
Okay. Well, let's try, and then it's not that bad, but just so okay, Tufts, art history in London, Tufts in Boston, Berklee in Boston, and then New York. So and you said you spent 5 years in New York, right?
Already.
Already. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your experience of being a musician in New York, and what kind of aspects the city brought out of you. And yeah, maybe that's the question.
Yeah, that's what New York does. I think it just brings out everything from you to see what you can use, so you can of course make a living, but also there's an exploring energy. I feel that you're allowed to try some things. There's also very, very, very amazing level of all the artistry there, because it's also condensed. You know, all the artists are coming there, so it can also be, as you arrive, quite what's the word, intimidating, and you can feel encouraged by the level and by the quality. And but I found, you know, because it's such a big city, I found that in the end of the day, compared to smaller cities or even Athens, that has a bit more of a clique feel, because it is so small. There's a lot of wonderful, amazing artists that I would admire forever until going there, that had very little ego and were easy to talk to. And, you know, maybe you wouldn't see them again, but just the interaction with them was very inspiring. And there's a feeling of just, there's no space for ego. It's not always the case, but that really was something I loved with New York. And something that came out for me was definitely the never stopping, moving around, going to every jam, playing or singing wherever I could. And sometimes I'd find myself in settings where it was just me and then all men in jazz, you know, or soul. I'd stay late, and it's something that we do a lot. We practice that in Greece. I don't know how it's in Lithuania. But we stay out late here. We start dinner at 10, and then, you know, and then you're out till late.
I think that's a warmer climate country kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's definitely not Lithuania. We eat like 6 p.m., watch a movie, and go to sleep by 10.
Yeah. You want the sun, like, yeah. Well, so this is something that I kind of... Boston was crazy because of the college years, because everyone was a student there. But as a city, I don't think unless it's in a very college setting, it's a quieter city, it's a calmer city, right? It's a cleaner city. So the grudge of New York woke me up again, and I was like, I'm back in Athens vibe. And I'd start getting work during the day and teaching, and got into a job with Carnegie Hall's Lullaby Project, which I could tell you a couple of things about. It's a great project they're doing there.
Please,
but
tell us all.
Yeah. So it's called Lullaby Project, and it's a project that's been around for, I think, 10 years, but the last 5, it's been expanding in at least 20 different sites in New York, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, especially Queens and Bronx. And it's basically bringing music to people's homes that need music a lot, and they don't even know it, and it can help them. It happens in settings like hospitals and shelters, so there's very different scenarios that it happens in. But for example, my job the first year was at a extension program for kids that were still in high school, that were moms, like really young moms, 17, 16, 18, you know, there are a lot of them. And this program called LYFE, LYFE, it's a support program for them to finish high school. And then we would go there and songwrite with them. And a lot of the times it was just, you know, just a fun little songwriting session, or a healing experience for them, because they'd never ever been asked to get creative with their own thoughts and their experience having a child. So we focus on the song, writing it for their kids, so it becomes a lullaby for them. And then they keep it for the rest of their life, and Some of them are they're there because it's the program that they're based in, but they're very resistant. Some are very excited. But at the end, they all have a song that they've written themselves, or at least we try that we don't write it for them. And they leave very pumped up and very happy that they've become a songwriter, out of the blue, and they wrote a song on their own. We help them just bring out the words, and we help them write a melody with them. And in the second year, I did something equivalent to in a women's shelter called Siena House. And then this year at Jacobi Hospital in the Bronx. So more with mums and it's usually families and in areas that are underprivileged. I don't really like that word, but just they're having harder lives and they've almost never been asked to be creative in that way. So it's kind of a big thing for them, and they don't even believe they can do it. That's the thing. I mean, even if I ask my friend here, you want to write a song together, or I know this experience was good for you. Do you want to write a song about it? I can help you, just some tools. And they're like, no, I'm not a singer, right? A lot of our non-musician friends will say that. So it's pretty cool work.
Wow, it's definitely world-changing. I never heard about Lullaby Project. It sounds so beautiful, just like the simplicity of lullaby, because lullabies are simple songs, so it takes out the burden that it has to be like a complex form or something like that. And it's just repetitive, gentle, in the comfortable range. Wow,
that's a huge thing. I agree with that so much, because it is something that school does for you too. You over complex music and you hear the chords simple, but you want to complicate them. It's something that happens, right? And then this work has invited me to just think of music more simply and accept a song the way it is, even if it's the simplest chord progression and the simplest melody. If it works, it works, and not have to edit it too much and make it something else.
In these kind of projects, I feel like when I get to witness that, other people doing it, or I'm in some sort of similar circumstance, so many times I'm blown away by this compressed creative energy, what people have, and they completely not aware, and then they like surprise themselves and everyone around. And that happens like with nice triggering and nice, direction. If there's someone to kind of give them a little cushion,
exactly.
for that. So then everyone is just so surprised, and I feel like there's this very compressed creative energy, which probably is ingrained and embedded in everyone's, spirit and body. Would you agree?
I do agree. I agree a lot. I think it's, if you feel this is, I say it quite a bit, and also I don't know, when I teach people that have just started getting a little more in songwriting, or I myself started doing it quite late. I mean, I'm only a couple of years in and doing more of my own songs, but even just singing, interpreting a song. If you can feel, that's half, and you're comfortable with the feelings. That's something you really need, and then you can explore how you can share it, how you can bring it in the song. But the moment it's very rich for someone to be able to feel, and we all do, but I think a lot of the times you just shove them down, and it's such a big part of, for me, the toolkit. Then you just get in touch with that, and you can start putting it on page. And the biggest thing for me is just shedding more and more of that judgment that happens. But we're all already very rich in a very big basket, I see, of feelings and experiences, a lot to say, a lot of stories. And to uninhibitedly play around and collage with that slowly, write a song in a month if it's what you want to do, but bring it all out and explore and find it interesting for yourself, because it can be a healing process. Songwriting can be very healing for yourself. It could be more, practice for someone to just get better at it. But I think not everyone is a songwriter the way we all think about it now. But we all can do it. This job has proven to me that they can. They just need a guide to show them some processes, some tools.
Absolutely. Yes, that's just so beautiful. I just wish that everyone would give themselves that permission of trying, because a lot of people just stop themselves from trying because they feel like it's not needed. Who's
Right.
going to listen to it?
Yeah.
It's going to sound bad. I'm not a singer. I'm not a good musician, or all
Right.
other judgmental things. Well, again and again, I turn to this aspect of children. You know how much we can learn from children. You know how children make an artwork. They don't care will they win a competition, or like, well, they might care about a sticker or ice cream, but
Right.
that's
Right.
but that's still different than like the result. So it's that gravitation towards the process rather than the result, which brings the
Yeah.
joy. And I
Yeah.
feel like once we enter this adulthood, or we pushed into adulthood sometimes earlier than in terms of like Lullaby Project, because a 15-year-old or 16-year-old mom is still a kid, but she's kind of an adult, right? Already. So you pushed into that adulthood a little too early. And my own story is also like I grew up like in a village and pretty rough circumstances. So I, had to do a lot of things way
Right.
too early in terms of Western understanding of raising children. So like once you push through that, when you're responsible for everything and it's
Yeah.
all on your shoulders and on your plate, we lose that childish playfulness, which brings the joy of process. So I feel like, well, as adults, we have to kind of, dig back
Yeah.
to that little
Yeah.
Eleni, little Simona,
Yeah.
little,
Yeah. Yeah.
John
Yeah.
and Elizabeth.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I wanna, because the this month is dedicated for a song for World Peace Project, and you are part of this project and you're representing Greece. Could you tell a little bit about your process, your own process of writing the song about peace in your own native language?
I. It's funny because I didn't have words in the beginning, and I thought, but a songs for world peace has to have words. I don't know why I began thinking. It's funny, you see, there's already a rule that I've made, but it's not even there, and it needs to be there. And then the melody that I had come up with, even a little before I was invited, that I felt was definitely around the idea of peace. Not even thinking about it, but when I was invited by Natalia, I thought, I'm going to develop that part. That's a completely um, fitting melody for this concept of peace. And I ended up, I've sent the project, the song, um, without lyrics, but actually it's been, words have been coming up just now. So I might resubmit. It happens, these things happen. Um, I definitely, in my process, it keeps changing. I think some songs and some interpretations of even covers, they come up from a physical perspective first, like I'm tapping a foot or a hand, or it's making the rhythm that I've come up with makes me move a certain way. And I'm allowing that to help me songwrite too, because I do dance, and I've been dancing more in the past, but I'm bringing it in my songwriting, because my body talks more sometimes than my musical mind. I think both are music, right? But so I might have a movement, and that guides me to a melody. So I'm almost going to score, um, a dance that's happening. Other times there's really no movement, and it's just some words that I've written as a poem, and the words, I love it when there are already words. The melody kind of comes very fast because there's already a limit. It's guiding you enough in terms of rhythm, how you can accent the words, and um, but a lot of the times there's no words, so it's very vague. I'm sorry, I don't have like one way of doing it.
Oh,
Um,
we don't like one way of doing it because
yeah,
it's boring.
yeah. It always changes. It always changes.
And in terms of peace in general, this is just such a broad, epic term, So, as Yoshi and Otako and Natalia was asking us to do a quote, what does world peace mean to you? So, could you tell us what does world peace mean to you?
That is a hard question. I think world peace means for me that every person on this planet feels allowed to do what they want and feel like they want to do without any judgment, and feel loved with all their desires. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Imagine that actually would happen. Like, you know, that everyone would do what they call to do or they love to do. It would be like more harmony without the judgment. Yes.
Right. Then the moment I said that phrase, there's always exception. For example, if someone wants to get up in the morning and kill 100 people in a church, I wouldn't want them to be allowed to, But I think you go how I meant it, that, thinking of now with all the movement and talking about, people transgender, through the movement of Black Lives Matter, talking about transgender, Black lives, and then there's always a recurring energy in New York of supporting people that have different liking, different, we call them minorities. It could be gay, it could be right, it could be just different. I think people can get very close-minded, and then those people live in fear without no reason. I think we live far from that utopian world, but in the end of the day, I think this is what we're fighting for, those people that protest, for all these other friends of ours, including ourselves at times, for people to feel allowed for those simple desires, so that for them to feel all at peace. And that's all.
Now, in terms of like more pragmatic way and less idealistic way, would you think how day-to-day basis we as artists, I'm talking more from artistic perspective because we are on that part, on that side, but we as artists, visionaries, dancers, musicians, composers, visual artists, how can we contribute day-to-day basis to this utopian idea of world peace?
I think being kind to one another, and kind to yourself first, because I think you can't do that first thing I mentioned if you're not to yourself. So being patient and being gentle with your own process, and I think that will end up doing that for your neighbors and your friends. I definitely think it needs slower tempo, and this is why of living before the crazy crisis of the virus, we were running all differently, and when the virus came, I think it shook us and it shifted our gears with our rhythm, and actually I think this has been a gift in disguise. I wouldn't wish this to have happened to anyone, and all the families that have been suffering more from this phase, all of us also economically and everything, but the rhythm, it helps then it helps the patients, right? And that helps us to be kinder. So if we're rushing, there's anxiety, that leads to more chaos. So I think in the end, yes, I could blame a couple of people that do wrong, but it's coming down to, I think one of those things is rhythm and
wow, actually, this is like a totally new thing. I never thought about it, That's so crazy. I honestly never thought that world peace can be connected with patience and slower pace.
It's all in context, because it can't be a total statement, right? Because then there's things that counterpart.
Absolutely.
But for example, back in the day when things were really slow, before any internet existed, medieval, people caused a lot of pain and were doing really terrible things to one another, right? And they were living in autocracy kind of expansion. They would have wars with one another just to expand their own land, right? It was just so I definitely wouldn't say that their wrongdoing came from stress from doing things fast. There was zero internet to blame on. But in our world today, I think relating to today, I think that can help on a pragmatic level. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot more
Thank
things.
you.
What did you answer, or what would you answer if I asked you that?
Well, I did send a quote that the world peace means to me is seeing each person for who they truly are. And actually that kind of lingered in my mind for a long time, and I felt like that's pretty simple statement, but if I think about it, like, how often do we treat people, we want them to be this way, you know, in relationships, we want to tailor them
Right.
for our own comfort. Our parents, how often we say, oh, my mom or my dad always do
Right.
that, they
Right. Right.
irritate
Right.
me. My sisters, my brothers, neighbors, they always do this with the dog, you know, why don't they pick up their stuff, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know. Of course I'm not prizing vices, that's not, but what I'm saying, that the acceptance of accepting that the difference is there and celebrating the difference, and accepting people for who they are if they're comfortable with it themselves. So of course there's like a long probably theme I could dwell on and keep developing it, but I think that and I definitely agree with you, is also peace with yourself, because if you don't have a, you're not doing work with yourself, and we all have a milestone of doing something with our
Right.
own baggage, right?
Right.
So I feel like we first of course have to start from our own selves, our own room, like cleaning the house, you know, cleaning the
Yeah.
kitchen, making your bed, like
Yeah. Yeah.
really basic things. But I think that if there is a micro chaos around you, like your sheet music is not organized and things are not washed, and you know,
Everything.
you don't know your schedule, or you know, like
Yeah.
things like that, if you create a micro chaos there, I don't think that there's a possibility to create a big uh you know, large anti-chaos around you, because you
Right.
have to kind of clean your own room first.
Right.
And
Right.
in
For
terms of
sure.
room, I mean, like, you know, the kitchen, it can be anything really, but like basic things.
Right. It starts from literally a room to then the room in your mind. It's the same thing. So, I mean, yeah. I was just
Yeah.
now. Something came to me as I was hearing you talk. I just remembered yesterday. Who was I talking about this? We were talking about world peace, and regardless from the project that worked for world peace, um, I think it has to do with also wanting to listen, because I think, and it comes with patience. But I was talking with a friend of mine that, and I include myself in this, I don't listen so much. I'm so excited to say, and it might be a great thing, but so I'm catching myself trying to listen more, because like I live in a big family and we all interrupt ourselves, each other. Sorry, not ourselves, and it's a healthy kind of environment. It's fine, but I'm in more, you know, in more settings and in political settings. It's hostile. It doesn't serve well if we interrupt each other. And I learned a lot about interrupting as a very important thing not to do in a job with SAY, Stuttering Association for the Young, working with kids that stutter, and how I'm not supposed to end their phrases at
That's
all.
right. That's great. Yeah.
You know, even if it's out of love and just to support them, like, yeah, I know what you're gonna say. Don't do it. Let them finish. Just be kind with your mouth, with your face, but you know, don't rush and end it. And so we of course finish each other's phrases out of love, right, all the time, just out of encouragement. But something to think about for me. You know, how is it to listen? And
Yeah, because a lot of times finishing other person's phrase, you're kind of helping them out, but you're also compromising their meaning. I think we lost Eleni for some strange reason, so I'll just continue. Maybe she will join back. I think the Greece Wi-Fi um, did that. Oh, I hope Eleni will go back. If something, um, you know, you guys can watch it back, and I'll wrap this up because we also running out of time. So um, Eleni is currently in Greece and Athens, and I'm currently in New York. United States. And we're still kind of like in quarantine mode. And I'm continuing this conversation this month, celebrating the world peace, and also dedicating it to a wonderful project. Eleni's back. To a wonderful project, Songs for World Peace, which Eleni is a part of, is one of the artists, same as I am. So if you guys haven't done that yet, go and check it out. Songs for World Peace, Instagram, Facebook, and website. And check out all the wonderful artists. I think at this point we have over 50 artists representing different countries. Hi, Eleni, you back?
Hi guys. They threw me out with my computer, so I'm on my phone.
Okay, so we also kind of running out of time a little bit. So there's
Okay,
one
great.
more thing. I was wondering, because you're working on your record at this moment,
Yeah.
so I'll let you choose. By the way, we have Berta Moreno commented, "Hello, beautiful ladies." I talked to Berta last 2 weeks ago, and she said she knows you. So she says hi.
Yes. Hi.
Thank you everyone for joining. And for the last note or chord, I want to ask Eleni, maybe either you could, if you feel, you could sing like a short folk song or something in Greek language,
Sure.
or you could tell a little bit about your project, about your album, or you can do both.
I'm thinking now what you prefer. Maybe something like a short line of a Greek song I love.
Yes.
Okay, this song it's a traditional song that I love, and it's a very big classic here. It's called Sagapo γιατί είσαι ωραία. I love you because you're beautiful. And it goes like this. I don't have
Eleni, before you start, do you mind trying without the headphones, because we still have that additional sound, and for singing, I guess I would. Okay, can you say something?
Hello?
Oh, wonderful. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, well, it's a short one, but Σ' αγαπώ γιατί είσαι ωραία. Σ' αγαπώ γιατί είσαι ωραία. Σ' αγαπώ γιατί είσαι εσύ. Άνοιξε το ένα φύλλο. Άνοιξε το ένα φύλλο, την εικόνα σου να δω. Άνοιξε το ένα φύλλο. Άνοιξε το ένα φύλλο, την εικόνα σου να δω. Took it kind of low. Those are some lyrics of this beautiful song, Σ' αγαπώ γιατί είσαι ωραία. Traditional Greek.
Can you briefly say what are the lyrics about?
The only thing it says is, I love you because you're beautiful. I love you because you're you. Mm-hmm. Open the window. Άνοιξε το. Open half the window, like we call το φύλλο, so I can see your painting, your vision, your face in a way. Yeah, and the song is called Σ' αγαπώ γιατί είσαι ωραία. You can find it in many ways.
Eleni, thank you so much for singing for us. You have a beautiful voice, and
I
cannot wait to hear your record. So guys, watch out for Eleni's record, which is going to come out soon. Today we had one of songs for World Peace Project artist Eleni Arapoglou from Greece, Athens, based in New York, but currently is in Greece. And I also have a correction. So Yoshi commented that Songs for World Peace have over 70 artists at this moment. So over 70 artists from different parts of the world composing music, composing songs in their original language, celebrating world peace or dedicated for world peace. And all these songs will be performed and premiered on September 21st, which is the International Day of Peace. Oh, we're back. So guys, go check it out, Songs for World Peace, and go check out Eleni's stuff on YouTube, and let's watch out for her album come out. And a little announcement about next week. So next week we'll have a little bit of a change up. Since I have a performance on Saturday, I moved the coffee conversation to Friday. So we'll have Friday, September 11th, 11 a.m. I'll have another Songs for World Peace artist, Linnea Lundgren. She's a composer, a clarinetist, multi-instrumentalist, and singer from Sweden.
Oh,
Yay. And Linnea and I, we did so many projects during our college time, so it'll be very nice to catch up. And please join on the same artist page for live stream, September 11th, Friday, 11 a.m. from 11 to 11:45 a.m. And in Lithuania, it will be 6 p.m. and in Sweden, it will be 5 p.m. So that's the highlights. And in Greece, it will be 5 p.m. too, I think, right?
I think so. 7 hours
Yes.
ahead from.
Oh no, 7. Greece is the same as Lithuania, so 6 p.m. 6 p.m. So join us for Coffee Conversations with Inspiring Artists. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Yoshi, for commenting. Great conversation. Thank you, Berta. Thank you, everyone who joined. And if you have any questions, or if you wanna check out Eleni's stuff, you can go see her bio on the link or on YouTube link as well. And it was wonderful, Eleni, to catch up with you, and I'll see you in New York.
See you. Thanks so much.
Good luck with the album.
Thank you so much. Talk soon. Thank you. Bye.
Talk soon. Bye.